Hi, Caleb with Brownells here. In today's product spotlight, we're going to be taking a look at the new Geissele triggers, specifically their X series. So this one I have in front of me specifically is the SSA-E. The X series also comes in the SSA. If you're not familiar with the Geissele triggers in general, the SSA is the Super Semi-Auto, the SSA-E, which this one is the Super Semi-Auto Enhanced. The only difference between the two, the Enhanced is just a little bit lighter than the Super Semi-Auto. And not to say that one's really better than the other, they just have two different purposes in mind. And real quick, just talking about Geissele triggers before I talk about this one, just to give you a quick background on that. It's better, all the Geissele triggers have a super clean brake. It's better to have a clean brake than a really light trigger in pretty much any case. Even though the trigger, the SSA-E, is lighter than the SSA, that absolutely does not make it a better trigger. It's all purpose driven. It depends on what you're going to be using it for. So this one here, being the SSA-E, it is a little bit lighter of a trigger. If you're familiar with any Geissele triggers in the past at all whatsoever, I could just say, hey, there's a new Geissele trigger out. We can end the video right now, and you could just go buy the new Geissele trigger and be amazed at the new Geissele trigger. But we won't do that. I'll just go into the details for you guys. So you have your match machine Geissele pins here, front and rear. But the coolest thing about this, so if you've been looking at the new Geissele Super Duty rifles, these triggers were only available in those line of rifles, but now you can get them outside of the rifles, of course here at Brownells. So the trigger and hammer themselves are nano-coated, and then the disconnector is chrome nitrided. So it's really cool to see all these advancements in coating technologies kind of catch up with the gun world, specifically with smaller components like these. So we get all those corrosion resistant properties and lubrication properties out of that. And especially with smaller parts like this, because these are parts that it's so important to keep lubricated, because when a part like this fails, the whole firearm's going to fail, obviously, because this is your trigger and hammer. We don't want to pull the trigger and nothing happen, firearm not go bang, especially when we need it most. So obviously it's important to keep this lubricated, but with the properties of these coatings, you can, if your lubrication fails for whatever reason, or you fail to lubricate it, or if your gun's just so dirty to the point where it does indeed fail, these coatings can indeed potentially, save your firearm from failing. So really cool feature there. That's why I love to see these types of technology advancements come into the firearm world the way they do. And another thing here, you have this super wide surface on these two-stage triggers here, and of course these are two-stage triggers. The Geissele SSA and SSA-E are two-stage triggers. So you have that light, first stage, super light second stage pull. I say super light for AR-15 triggers, that is. And then the main selling point of this trigger is that the lightning bow trigger. So you have that wide trigger surface there, and the trigger is just slightly curved, which gives you really good positive feel and engagement on the actual trigger itself while you're pulling the trigger. So overall it just feels really good and positive whenever you're pulling the trigger. I'm not going to give a definite weight because they do vary a bit depending on a number of factors, but if you're familiar with Geissele triggers, you'll be pleased with what that weight is. Now, whenever it comes to actually installing the trigger, they install, of course, just like any other two-piece AR-15 trigger, which we have instructions in our new AR-15 build series on our website, so you can check that out, and it'll go through it piece by piece how to do just that. Now, as with other Geissele triggers, I don't have it here on the table, but it does come with their lubricant to lubricate it after you install it. So if you've tried this trigger in any of the Super Duty series, or if you've tried this trigger as is in your favorite preferred AR-15, Let us know what you think of it down in the comment sections below. I'd like to know your thoughts on said trigger. So, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.